Hello. As usual, we're going to wait a few more minutes. We already know that Alexander will not join because he's sick, and Eric Finke is in PTO till tomorrow. So we'll have a reduced attendance. Sergio said that probably won't come either. Okay, let's start. Can you please confirm that you can hear me? Hello, hello?
Yes, we do. Hello.
Okay. Happy New Year! I hope 2023 doesn't get even worse than 2022. And wish you the best and yes, all the things that you expect and want for this year. You know, all the good RFCs that you'd love to publish and all the nice things. Okay, so for today, so this is usual IETF meeting. So the IETF not well applies. In particular, the patent and participation rules in BCP 79. If you're not fully aware of them, which I would be very, very surprised, then please join me or look at BCP 79 and then anti-harassment, code of conduct, etc. All apply, and you're very well used to those things. So for today, sorry for the, we will be, there's a problem with the slides. Oops, they're not the ones I expected. Yeah, this one is correct. So for some reason, the agenda is screwed. I've touched the wrong slide, but the agenda for today is pretty much the discussion on the status of the draft and then the recharge rate. So workgroup status has not changed since the IETF. So we expect to publish the two SHE-Cover NB-IoT and SHE-Cover Sigfox drafts soon. And then, as you know, there is also the dependent draft from the main SHIC document, which provides the compound acknowledgement system, and we'll discuss a little bit about where that one is as well. So the news are very, very good. There are 2 RFCs waiting to be finalized in the RFC editor queue, and SHIC over NB-IoT ANA is even in the RFC editor edit state, meaning that they're working on it. So I guess you will tell us that you're talking to the RFC editor, because that's what should happen now. And the young data model should follow suit very soon. And then Sergio is not with us today, but the SHIC over Sigfox, there has been a lot of activity on the SHIC over Sigfox, and I'm seeing mails every day. So I guess we're very, very soon done with the ISG discussion, and this one will be queued to the RFC editor as well. All this tells us that we are very, very well advanced in our current charter, and it's time to recharter. Also, the first draft in this list, the compound ACK, there were some comments during the Shepard review on the Young model, and Sergio has answered to Alex. So Alex is not with us, but is working with Sergio on fixing them, and then we'll press the button. So that's summary of the status. Compound ACK is under Shepard. And so we started the discussion on rechartering at the IETF, and I will present you on the next slide what the text, now the proposed text, is about. So we wanted to allow SHIC over FOOs, where FOOs are not necessarily LP1, classical LP1 types of networks, like over IP, over PPP, even over Ethernet. And there is this MAV link that Bob Moskovich has been discussing to connect to drones and robot devices. There was a discussion on using FEC as an alternate reliability method for the fragments, because today either we don't acknowledge at all, or we have acknowledgement, an ARQ mechanism, and different variations of ARQ mechanisms. And what we don't have is a FEC mechanism where we don't have ARQ, but at least we can improve the reliability. And that would be a very good fit for some LP1 networks, including Sigfox, by the way. Then we discussed that in some cases, like over PPP or over IP, we don't have an implicit indication of what the SHIC session is. And so there's probably a need for a SHIC header that has to be discussed, where it sits. But that would basically indicate in which SHIC session between 2 peers this particular SHIC packet belongs to. Then there was Laurent's point about CoreConf and if there can be optimization of what we're doing. It was found, I guess that's Quentin, and Quentin, you're there with Dominique. It was found that the way we did things was not necessarily optimized, and so maybe there is stuff to be done there. And then Bob Moskovich's point again on securing the SHIC negotiation, and he was telling us at the IETF meeting that there were only 2 ways of doing it, so we should pick one. And then the session setup, if we have this SHIC header, probably there is something to set up, like a TCP Cincinnati or anything to basically say, hey, we're starting this new session between those 2 peers. Here are the rules that need to be installed, and then the 2 peers must agree that they work on the same rules, otherwise there will be some issues. So all those are items that we discussed during IETF for rechartering item. And with this, we prepared some text. The first piece of text, this slide here, speaks about the general context. Usually, I was used actually to see some text like that at the introduction of a charter. What I got from Eric is that this is getting out of fashion. And so having this introduction, mostly when you're rechartering, is not necessarily needed. So I keep that text, as some header for an email, but I would expect not to see it in the actual charter. Now, if you have any comment on it, it's still useful. So maybe I would leave you a little bit of time to read and discuss, but then again, it's not for the charter. Karsten, yes? Please go ahead.
Yeah, but one thing to make this less out of fashion is to put a heading on top of it, background. And then it's clear to everyone that this is not describing what the working group is doing now, but it's just background information. So they don't have to read it with quite as fine a comp they would normally read.
Yeah, that's the whole goal, Karsten. So I can try that. And let's see what Eric says about it. But yes, I would like, that's why I conserved the text. I wanted to do something like that. So I really like your proposal. Thanks so much. And that, yes. So if we do that, then it still means that this text should be looked at. So if you want to have a little quick read on it, if you have any quick comment, I will have my editor ready to do some changes. And maybe by the time we send that to the ASG, we will have some numbers associated to the other document. Yes, Quentin, please.
Oh, hi. Is this sound correct?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, just a quick comment on the write-up. It says first the main focus was, and now the new focus is this new one. Maybe should we reverse the description, saying this is the interest is using compression technology, static context header compressions to different or various protocols, and explain later what the acronym originated from. I don't know, it's just a quick comment.
Basically, what you want to reverse the order. I mean, what you want to do now.
Just suggesting that, yes, possibly, because if you come from like with zero background on what this is doing, like the first line should explain what this is about, and then provide an explanation as to why the name was LP1 in the first place.
Okay, so kind of the second paragraph should be first. And then do not discuss. Yeah, yeah. Okay, it's not an easy like.
I mean, it's
single
a suggestion. Yeah, it's not easy, especially.
Right, I cannot just do it online right now, so I just keep in mind that
it's much easier to do wordsmithing with actual text to look at. So I think the first sentence needs to be the first sentence, and then the second paragraph can be spliced in, and then we can go into the documents. And so you can tell it's about right, but the first sentence needs to stay there.
Okay, first sentence needs to stay there, then maybe second paragraph, and then some rework. Okay, anyway, if we are not to publish that text, we won't spend too much time. But if we are, then there can be a little bit reorganization in it. I'm noting that. Okay, so now we enter the real text. I don't share the editor, but I have the editor on my side. So ready to take any suggestion. So first sentence first. Karsten?
Yeah, I think the charter needs to stand on its own. So saying continue activities of the previous charter at the end doesn't quite work. So I started reading the group will extend its scope, and then of course the first question is from what? Yeah, we have to include everything that will be in scope.
Oh, there is the next. There is the next slide, which basically details. But we okay. You want to repeat the scope of the original charter?
Well, that is done, but continue activities. I mean, this is like maintenance and adding other layer 2 mappings.
Yes. So would you like to change the last sentence to will, instead of continue activities from the previous charter, if we can remove that and turn it into maintain its existing work, perform maintenance for its existing work and take new work?
Well, I would probably split the list on slide 10 into the maintenance and continue activities part and the new work part.
Which is really item 1 versus all the others, right?
Which is?
Which is really item 1 versus all the others.
Okay. Not sure that 2 is not previous. It actually says previous charter.
No, we did not have OAM in our charter. We had to extend the charter to take it.
Okay.
So
yeah, so I probably would merge the last sentence on slide 9 with the first sentence on slide 10 to say the group will take over the maintenance of the SHIC mechanisms, including.
Okay, let me write that down. The group will take. Can you repeat? Will take maintenance. Oh, will carry out maintenance. How would you write it down?
Yeah, please wordsmith outside the meeting. I'm not speaking print. I'm not in my ready for print mode right now.
Okay, so basically, what you would remove item 1 basically, and include it
with a sentence before, so it's clear that this is the maintenance working group for the SHIC mechanisms.
Okay, so basically, I'm taking the first part, the item 1 here, and I'm kind of overwriting will continue activities on the previous charter with that text.
Yeah.
Okay, let me do that.
And you need to do something at the first paragraph because if the previous slide is the background, you cannot just assume that it's now clear what the charter, what the existing scope is. You have to write one sentence about the scope.
Well, in that case, we are not. What you mean when I say extend the scope? That's undefined. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. So the charter starts with a clean slate. So you cannot assume that people consult other documents to understand the charter.
Yeah, which is what this text was doing initially, right? The initial focus on enable IPv6 technology.
Yeah, but that cannot its scope because that work is done. So what is left of that scope? You have to have a generic.
Oh, well, that's a good point. Nothing much, to be honest. Because if we look at what we had to do, we don't. I mean, what would be left is if there was a new LPWAN technology, but there is none, and if there was, I mean, that would be a fool. So there is nothing that we re-inherit. If you look at it, all the documents which are active internet drafts are all being published. And the personal submission at the bottom of the picture, they are not chartered. So, I mean, there is really no case of continuing something that we are working on.
Okay, great. But just describe the scope, like maintaining the SCHC mechanisms and providing SCHC over foo documents. That's the scope, the natural scope that is already there.
Okay, so then I would keep item 1 as it is and change the sentence which says we'll continue activity on the previous charter, and say we'll continue previously chartered activities of SCHC over LP1s and SCHC compression, maybe something like that, and take over new work as follow. Just detail in 2 or 3 words what the previous charter was by saying it's just compression and over foo. Would that be enough?
Yeah. So there are 2 components of this scope: the maintenance of the SCHC technology, so fixing things, extending things, adding management to things, and the addition of SCHC over foo documents. So these are the first 2 items of the new scope.
Actually, I was wrong. OAM was written as previous charter, so I forgot that. Okay. Okay, I see what you're saying. I'll try to do a little bit of messaging to do what you say. But actually, item 1 and 2 belong to the previous charter. Okay.
I agree.
So yeah, we could effectively group them as you said. Okay. So
yeah, I think it's always a good thing to identify parts of a charter that were previously agreed, so people see less of a reason to actually attack that part.
Okay.
That always saves time.
Makes a lot of sense. So I will have from the previous charter before item 1 and 2, which means that I can remove previous charter as was spelled at the end of item 1 and 2, which is cool, and then say new items for this charter. So if I do that, then maybe we can keep that sentence that we had. That's back to your original proposal, but yeah, so we keep that sentence as it is, but here we say from the previous charter, item 1, item 2, new items for this charter, items 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yep.
Okay, that works. Okay, neat. Thank you, Kirsten. So now as we look at those items, well, OAM, well, nothing really surprising. Maybe the list of foos, I mean, Ethernet is like we think we could ask for an ether type. And then if we have a SCHC header, we could place it after that ether type as well, not just after the IP or UDP. Here we say on item 4 we say over IP. Maybe if we don't say over IP, that's easier to say Ethernet as well. Otherwise, we're missing it for Ethernet. Okay, do you see any other things that you'd like to comment? Are we missing big items? That's the big one. Or do you think one of those items would not be tractable?
So what is SAC-area?
Oh, sec area, security area. How would you spell it?
Well, certainly not this way, because I have no idea what the duration is.
Okay, so I will work from the security area.
Yeah, IETF security area. Maybe it's even
Okay.
clearer.
Then that was actually Bob's discussion, and he's the only one who really wants to contribute to that for now. We'll need to learn. He was trying to sell, not like, HIP. He said there is something in HIP that we can use, and HIP is his baby. And then there was, I forgot. Anyway, we'll need to discuss that with him. And yes, the rule installation is more work. I mean, how do we, it's probably some work in the architecture as well. So item 6 will impact the architecture. And Laurent insisted that there could be some bar over chic as well, not just chic over full. And there is sec area again, so we'll say security.
Well, the way it's spelled in the last line is kind of okay, but the SEC-AREA, that's weird.
Well, anyway, it's spelled security area. It's just said security area. That's it.
Okay.
But
so what is bar? Do you have an example for that?
What did he talk about? I forgot. There was something, but I forgot. Well, anyway, there are already specification for the LMS over check, but he had another case. But we just open the door basically. So if somebody comes with a bar, something similar to the LMS, then we could work on it.
There may be people in the ISG who don't like open doors like that.
Okay, I mean, sadly, Laurent is not with us, so maybe you would like to be a bit more specific on what the bar is.
Yeah, there should be some scope again, so it cannot just be any bar. I mean, we all understand what the foo here is, because we have done IP over foo documents, so people will probably not ask what is meant by that, but maybe they even ask that. But the bar part is pretty weird. So I read this as a companion to the CoAP part of SHIC. So
SHIC over CoAP is one bar. I mean, even IP. If you place SHIC on an ether type, even compressing IP is already a bar, right? IP is a bar. CoAP is a bar.
No, I'm talking about bar over SHIC.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when we compress IP is a bar.
Which means SHIC under bar, which is everything.
Yeah, and so we
already can compress IP. So what are you talking about?
It's additional bars. I mean, like IP and CoAP. I mean, there are some changes for ICMP. Yeah, could be.
IP is a foo, not a bar.
No.
It's SHIC over. It's bar over SHIC over foo.
SHIC over foo means how do we indicate that we have SHIC when on an Ethernet packet? And what we compress with SHIC at that point would be IP, so the bar would be IP, and the foo would be Ethernet.
Yeah, so I'm talking about what are the higher level protocols, the protocols above SHIC that we do not already do, but want to do in this new charter.
I understand that question. I mean, Laurent, like I said, he had a case, and I forgot what it is.
Okay.
One of them could be IPv4, since we don't compress IPv4.
Good point.
Well, one could be lightweight M2M. So going all the way up to lightweight M2M headers. Just an idea. It could be another way of doing co-op. It could be ICMPv6 for OAM, which was already in the charter, acknowledged.
Yeah, so maybe supplying these examples would be helpful. I have no idea why you would need a separate standard for lightweight M2M, but ICMPv6 and IPv4 are certainly good examples.
Okay, so let me, in that sentence where we say where foo includes but is not limited to blah, I can add and bar includes ICMP v6 that is not limited to ICMP v6. And what did you say, Dominique? It's not necessarily ICMP as a whole, right? I mean, I'm serious, IPv6 ICMP based protocol, because ICMP is just a container. ICMPv6 based protocols. And 1M2M, that's what. Oh no, did you say 1M2M? Now I'm confused. Or did you say lightweight? Lightweight.
We said lightweight M2M.
Yes, that's lightweight that you mentioned.
So this would be a layer on top of CoAP.
Yeah, which is on top. Lightweight M2M over CoAP. And if you want to go into compressing lightweight M2M headers, which are payloads
so
for CoAP, then you could describe that. You don't have to. Everybody can invent their own solution.
Yeah.
Which is true for
we could, but is there somebody? Is there somebody willing to take on that work? Because if we spell it, that means that we will do something on it. And for now, I don't have any signal that somebody is willing to produce a document on it. So it's for Carsten, it's an example. Yeah, but for the charter check. I'm not willing too much to insist on IPv4 right now, though we could. And then we'll see what the ISG says. Anyway, it's just a proposal. It will be edited and edited. Do you think I should list IPv4 right now?
Well, that is an interesting question, whether we get a general license to do any of these protocols, or whether we have to recharter for every single one of them. So I think that's something we need to discuss with Eric.
Because we are not changing the protocols, we are just providing a way to compress them. So it's not like we define those protocols. We just define some rules to compress them.
Sure.
So why should we be allowed to do this and not that?
Because the ISG wants to keep the working group from drowning in scope creep. So I think there are valid reasons why there might be concern about doing IPv4 here. I'm not saying that I think it's likely or that it's not likely. I just don't know. So I think that's something we really should be discussing with Eric.
Which means that I should write it down for now, and after discussion with Eric, we might remove it. But
yeah.
So let's IPv4. So I say IPv4 and ICMPv6 based protocol.
Yeah. So maybe add a such as. So we are not signing with our blood that we are going to do that.
Well, for IPv4, I think, I mean, Anna, if you're listening to this, you might react, but I think Laurent wanted to do something about it at some point.
Hello. So I think Laurent was, I don't know if he wants to work in IPv4, but he wants to work in TCP. I don't see TCP in the foo, but
Well, TCP is
you
just
say
one
it
part.
could be with the two, it could be TCP there.
Yes, I'm adding TCP. I mean, again, if we are compressing from below, we just the way we compress UDP, we could and CoAP, we could compress TCP and HTTP, or even Quick. Though Quick probably is already efficiently spelled. It's probably hard to compress Quick, but
Wasn't DTLS mentioned at some point as well?
yeah. I mean, if the thing is, Anna is telling us that Laurent is willing to work on it. If somebody is willing to work on DTLS, then fine. And then we could list them as examples, but I don't want to commit to write a document where nobody is contributing.
Yeah, I'm just saying maybe you could ask your co-chair. It seems like Leo is interested in DTLS.
Okay.
I think the IPv4 problem was more for 3GPP than for Laurent. 3GPP is using IPv4 and IPv6, and then that was the question of Edgar regarding the IPv4 solution for Chic.
Makes sense. Did you get any news on that side, by the way, now on NB-IoT? Did 3GPP come back to you? I've not seen anything.
The liaison statement is in the last call. It has ended, and we only receive a personal review of a 3GPP of Ericsson, but it's not formal in the statement. So that's why we published version 15, because he gave us some editorial changes of some references and some text in the draft, and he was agree about the solution, but it is not a 3GPP review. So I think Eric closed the last call and sent it to the RFC editor.
Okay.
I have not received any input from the editor until now. So
Okay.
I'm waiting for that.
That was the question I had earlier. You sent us some slides. Do you want to go and present them?
No, it just say that what I am saying now. That
Okay.
we published version 15 with the 3GPP review, and the 3GPP review was not the liaison statement review. So and we closed the last call and we sent it to the RFC editor, and now we are waiting for the comments of the editor.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going forward without any problem.
Neat.
So we have kept the two parts, the informational and the standard part, as we do it in version 13. Sorry. So that's the way it will be published, I think, or at least we send it like that for the editor.
Okay. So we're good, I guess.
Yeah, so it's good news. No news, good news. So
yeah, I mean, it will come. I mean, there was the Christmas break and everything. So yeah, you're in the queue. I mean, I think I mentioned that on my earlier slides.
Yes.
But you're in edit state, which really means that they're working on your document right now. So they probably go through it and they progress in it. And once they have done one pass, they will come to you with a number of questions.
Yes, of course. So I'm waiting that. So and then after we will see what they say, the editor.
Excellent. So back to the charter item. So I've done.
Then I was wondering if we want to work in the IDs that we discussed. I think in the side meeting of the IETF at London, we discussed of
Which
the
were?
identification of the IDs for the protocol that doesn't have the next header. How we identify that chick is inside. Do you remember?
That's basically that's why I want to define extender IP. Or then we said if we there's the discussion of having a destination option or something, indicating that what you have inside is check. And for now, the discussion was kind of, I was losing that discussion. It was kind of reopened. Is it what you have in mind?
Yes.
So yeah, that's part of item 4, I guess.
Okay.
Depends. And we have to define exactly how we do it. So is it like a new protocol, which will, once applied, generates a normal packet with IP in it, and now you process the IP packet? Or is it like destination option information which has some parameters which allow you to understand what goes in the protocol, because the protocol now is compressed check or something. So
Okay, for me.
I think we're not ready for that design. We don't have really. We need some interim discussions just on that. And whiteboard would be excellent. Okay, so let's leave with this, and I will talk to Eric again based on that discussion. So do we have any other business for this interim? I'm hearing none, so we get 15 minutes back for our lives. And thank you all for joining. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Pascal. Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.